Hop in the whip and I hit these switches, see that chrome suspension. Look at the car, you know who did it, I don't have to mention. They know it's Alex from Hoppos, 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 Hoppos. Custom work come from Hoppos, Hoppos, Hoppos.
Guys, Alex here from Hoppos. Right now we got the guys jacking up the car. We're gonna be mimicking us doing this install just like you guys would be doing it at home. So we won't be using the lifts, we'll be using it up on jack stands, and pretty much we'll go step by step on how we do this. That way you guys get a better idea and you guys feel a little more comfortable doing it yourself. So stay tuned, we will be doing a little editing on this video, so we will make it a little quicker. So as you can see right now. Alright, so what we do here to start off this install, first we get the 4 jack stands that we need to support all 4 corners of the car, and we also use a jack. Right now we jacked up the whole car from the rear differential. We want the rear end to hang, so we're actually gonna get the jack, put it underneath the rear end as you can see right there, and Victor is actually getting jack stands and putting it on the back side of the frame to support it. And we will be doing the same thing for the front. So this is going to be our first step onto a hydraulic install, and make sure you guys are doing this properly, and make sure you guys always remember safety is going to be #1 thing. So make sure you guys are always double checking what you're doing and make sure you're safe. Alright guys, so we got the car up on jack stands all the way around. All 4 corners are secure now. So we went ahead and started taking off the front wheels, and we're going to continue to do the same thing with the back. Take off all 4 wheels, get the suspension is hanging right now, so we're going to get the suspension loosened up, and you'll see what we'll do from there. So as we're going to tear the front apart, this car did come in with lowering springs already in there, so when we pull out the coil, it's going to be a lot easier than a factory or stock car. So if you do have a car that is stock or stock suspension, normally what you're going to do is either cut with a plasma or a torch and heat the bottom section up and cut them out, or you could release it with a tension. I personally prefer doing it with a torch because I don't like all the tension on the front. Some of my guys here like taking it out using a jack and a hammer pretty much, and what they do is just pull the coil out while it's under pressure. So there's 2 different ways to do it. In this car, it came in with lowering coils, so there was no need for us to heat them up or use the jack. They actually came right out. I believe it was like a 3-inch drop on this coil. So it just depends on how you're doing it. If your car's stock, then you will have to do, heat them up, pull them out, and that way it's a little bit harder. Takes a little more time, but it is safer. So I do recommend doing it that way. But we'll go ahead and continue with the video so you guys can see step by step of what we're doing. I do have my guys doing the arms. I do have my guys in the back, tearing down the back. So we'll go ahead and show you as much as we can in this short amount of time to make it easier for you guys.
So for this install here, guys, we're going to be doing a little more work than normally you guys would be doing. In this case, we're going to be dropping the whole front suspension off this. We're going to be removing what he came in with. He came in with tubular uppers and tubular lowers. We're going to be actually putting those back to stock upper arms and lower arms. And we're doing that just for the pure fact that he wanted an OEM look on here. Plus, on these tubular arms, the coil don't fit in the pocket as good as it does in a stock arm. So we're going to be dropping
to tear down the front. What we're doing is drop the sway bar link, what you see right here. Drop the sway bar link. We're going to be removing the sway bar. We dropped the tie rod. So this guy's loose right now, nuts off. Upper arm is going to be coming off. Lower arm is going to be coming off. And the only reason we're doing that on this one is because he does have tubulars. And if you notice, the coil pocket's real small. Plus these uppers that you order online aren't the strongest. So what we're going to be doing is going back to the stock OEM ones, and we're going to be extending and reinforcing those guys. So that's the reason why we're doing this on this one. If you guys are doing just a regular install, there's no need for you to drop your lower and your upper unless you're going to be extending and reinforcing. So I just want to do a quick little update for you guys so you guys know what's going on. But first things first, remove all this stuff, loosen all this up, then we drop the shock through the bottom. Here's the shock for you right here. The shock will drop straight out through the center. You got 2 bolts right here, and then you got 1 bolt up on top. Once you remove those, the shock will drop right out. Right now he's getting the jack, and it's gonna jack up the upper or the lower arm, and it's gonna loosen the upper ball joint and let the arm and the spindle be free. And so our next step for the rear back here is, notice we got a jack under here. So we are up on jack stands and the rear end is hanging freely. But the reason why we put the jack right here is we put the jack underneath the rear end, we jack it up maybe 2 or 3 pumps, and that's just to relieve some stress off the shock. Once we relieve the stress off the shock will come off freely. So as he's tearing the other side apart, as you can see right here, we went ahead and grinded all the areas of where we will be welding. We are doing a tower reinforcement kit on here, so these guys will be dropping right in right here. So we did grind all this area up in the meantime, getting ready for welding, and on the other side he's still tearing down. So as you can see, we normally jump ahead and do everything on one corner as needed. So something, if you guys are doing reinforcing, this is what we like to do, so you guys get a little idea of it. So we will finish up tearing down in the front. We're gonna work our way to the back and show you guys what's next. Alright guys, so in the rear what we're doing, hold on. Okay, so in the rear guys, what we're doing is we actually got the rear end up on it using a jack. We're leaving a little bit of pressure off of the shocks. A lot of people get scared that the coils have a lot of tension on them. They do have tension, but they don't have a crazy amount. It's not going to shoot off and go across the house or anything like that, but you do want to take caution when you're doing it. So the reason we put the jack under there is to put pressure on the actual shock and the coil, and we'll be releasing the shock right now. That way you guys can see how it's done. So you did take off the nut right there, and what you're going to do is take off the washers, and you could use a pry bar, or sometimes they do slide right off depending on how good the bushings are on the shock. But in this case, these ones are pretty good, so we'll have to use a little bit of pry bar to get these washers off, and a screwdriver. So right here we did take the shock off, just let that guy hang, you'll see it expand back out. So we just relieve just enough pressure just to make it easier on the removal of the shock. And then from there, once he does the other side, as you can see he's doing right now, the coil will pop right out as you let the jack down slowly. We are also doing rear arches on this car, so I went ahead and grinded just a little bit so you guys could see. But normally what I like to do is I like to weld on this bottom edge and on this upper edge up here. So we were going to be doing outer arches only on here. So before we tear down, we actually go ahead and grind up this whole section, get it down to bare metal, and make it a lot easier and cleaner welds. And then we'll go ahead and tack everything on and then start welding it. So we do all this as we're doing part of the install. That way everything just flows and there's no downtime on it. So we work our way bottom edge, grind this whole thing up behind the coil, and on the front section back here too. We clean all that up, get rid of all the undercoating, the grime, all the all the years of buildup down here, and get that ready to weld up and call it a day. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. So right now he's going to be dropping the jack down to release the pressure off these coils, and you'll see the coils will slightly fall out of place, and that way it makes it a lot easier for removal. Go to keep dropping down. And the coils are coming off of tension right now. Go all the way down. So you can see it's jack's already released. Coil is going to be pretty much hand loose right now. You'll be able to wiggle it a little bit. So you can see you can spin it. So there's not much tension. So what we do here normally is we'll actually get the jack, put it on one side, and jack it up a little bit to release tension off the other side, and then do the opposite. Alright, so right now we're moving the jack over to the driver's side to relieve the pressure off the coil on the passenger side. So when you guys do this, you guys want to do opposite sides. So you can see he's jacking up directly right underneath the trailing arm mount. We just need just a little bit of pressure up on one side to drop the other side down, and it makes it a lot easier when removing these coils. So we'll go ahead and move on over to the other side so you can see the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the passenger side right here. We put the jack up over there, drop the rear end at an angle, that way we get a little more movement on it, and then we're just gonna tap it out with a hammer. And it's as easy as that. Alright guys, so now that we got the coils off on both sides, the suspension's hanging freely, and right now we're just relying on the shocks holding it up. Our next step, being that we are doing coil under, so I'm going to repeat that, coil under. I had already prepared some saddles for us. So this is some saddles, 1.5 inch tall, and they will again be put in place onto the factory perch, like so. So we will go ahead and grind this whole section up all the way around. That way we get a nice fat weld all the way around it, and this is going to keep the coil from popping out of position. If you guys are doing power balls or coil over, what you're going to do is you're going to actually cut this off right here. You're gonna hit this grind, this weld off, grind it smooth. Hit the backside off back here, and you're gonna take this whole perch off. Before you do that, one thing I normally do recommend is I like to find center of the circle. I'll find center of the circle and I'll mark it, and you're gonna use that for your reference line later on down the road when you put your power ball on. That way you keep your suspension all straight and back into the original factory geometry that the factory gave it to you. So if you are doing Powerball, you'd be removing this weld and this back weld, taking this whole piece off, and then you'd be putting the Powerball in place of here. So that's if you're doing Powerball. In this car, in this install, we're doing coil under all the way around. Some people call it old school or traditional, but that's what we will be doing on this vehicle. Alright guys, so far, just a quick recap on this vehicle. If you guys are skipping through the video to work on the car, or if you're just watching it just for reference for later on down the road, what we've done so far, beginning step, get the car up, jack it up, get it safe to work on and be underneath. We do have 4 jack stands on the front side and on the back side, wherever that's at. And we started with tearing down the suspension, tear the front arms off, back arms off, and the reason we're doing that is we're actually extending the arms. So we're going to be extending the front arms 3/4 of an inch. In the rear, we're just going to be reinforcing the rear arches, and in the front, we're going to be doing front towers. So we're just getting the car ready and prepped for that. No holes have been cut yet. We're just doing the basics right now. So we just want you guys to see step by step on how we do it. How we do it doesn't necessarily have to be the way you guys do it. I already know I'm going to get the guys on the video like, well, that's not how I do it. If that's not how you do it, and you already do cars, you probably don't need to be watching this video. So this is for our guys that are buying our kits, and they're questioning, how to do the install. Can I do the install? They're trying to judge how much work it's going to take to do this. So that's the reason we're showing this to you guys. And we're also doing it on Impala because that's honestly that's our #1 vehicle. I got a 58, got a 59, got a 60. Pretty much 59 to 64, the holes are going to be the same, or 58 to 64, the holes are pretty much the same. This car was virgin, so when you guys are seeing it right now, majority of you guys are going to be building virgin cars, and this is going to be the same way. So it's just a nice way, you guys can feel more comfortable doing it before you guys actually attempt it. So that's the reason why we're doing this. Before the video goes any further, if you guys have anything bad to say, you guys don't do it that way, I do it this way, just get off the video. There's no point if you guys watching it. You guys don't need to do it. This is to help our customers out, to better our customers as far as what they know how to do on their own vehicle, and to just make life easier on everybody. So if you guys have anything negative to say, get off the page. If you guys love what we're doing, hit the subscribe and like button, and we will be updating you guys with more videos as we go. Next step, we're going to be drilling the holes in the front. So what we're using here is quick release 1 3/4 hole saw. You can get these at Home Depot, get them at Lowe's, any hardware supply place. It just makes the job a lot easier. We like doing this over a plasma or torch. That way you get an exact precise hole every single time. So this is how we're going to do it. There is a video on our YouTube page that's going to go a little more in depth about this. You guys, I'll link over to that as well. But just so you guys can see This is going to be your factory shock hole right here. So this is the factory shock hole. This is my pilot hole that I'm going to start right here. So you want to actually come out slightly, just a little bit, so that the edge of the hole saw goes right on the edge closest to the engine. So right here, this edge. So I'll go ahead and do it for you guys. I went ahead and started the hole for you guys so you guys get a better idea. So this hole right here, that hole, that's your factory hole. That's where your factory shock comes through. This is the pre-drill that we did. As you can see, the hole saw is going all the way to the back edge. So I didn't want to cut it all the way through so you guys get a better idea. Because I know when you're cutting this for your first time, it's kind of sketchy. It doesn't look like it's right. But this is the correct way to do it. That way it eliminates doing those funky bars in the back. So I'll go ahead and finish cutting it for you guys and we'll get some cylinders in.
Unfortunately, in the process of filming the back holes being cut, I actually had an SD card that went corrupt and I lost those files. So I'm going to have to continue that on to the next video, but this gives you a good idea on what it's going to take to prep your car for a hydraulic install as far as the lower suspension side of it. Now, of course, there's a lot more that's going to go into this that we didn't show, but we'll get to that in following videos. I do appreciate everything. Thank you guys always for liking and sharing and subscribing. This is Alex from Hoppos, and I'm out.